Hey everyone, welcome back to Tuesday Tea with me, Alisha Bowker Mudrock. Today I have the pleasure of having a dear friend and incredible Pilates mentor, Emily Bench, with us today. She is going to give us the 411, the history, all things Pilates. But first, I'm going to let her introduce herself. But I'm just so excited you get to hear from her and learn from her. She's a wealth of wisdom and just such a beautiful soul. So thank you so much for being here today, Emily.
Thank you, Alicia. I'm honored to be invited to Tuesday tea. What's Tuesday tea?
Tuesday Tea, yep, dishing
Tuesday
all
tea,
the
and I
tea.
love tea. I love tea. I love a cup.
Yes.
Um, I'm Emily Bench. I'm in Miami, Florida. I'm a Pilates teacher. I've been a Pilates teacher for 14 years, educator for 11. And the difference there is that I teach how to teach Pilates. Like I
Hmm.
teach other humans to to teach Pilates in a beautiful way. Um, I started as a dentist. That's how my profession, my life in the wellness center started. And I was introduced to Pilates through my parents. My parents were the one who told me to do Pilates because my neck was killing me
Hmm.
after long hours of
Hmm.
seeing patients every day. And even though I was always in I've been since I was little. I ran, I climbed a mountain every day. Um, Pilates changed the way I looked at fitness,
Yeah.
and and we'll go into in depth with that while we carry on with conversation. In Miami, I own a studio. It's called Pilates. We have two locations. It's a beautiful
Hmm.
studio, boutique studio with take the Pilates very personal, like but we personalize the teaching.
Yeah.
Alicia can testify for that.
I miss that
So
studio every day. Don't miss a lot about Miami, but do miss the studio. So
Pilates, yes. We have one of the main difference of us and the rest of the studios around is that we just don't teach like you hear today a lot of reformer Pilates.
Mhm.
That's not Pilates. It's one of the equipments of the Pilates method.
Right.
We teach on every apparatus, but the Cadillac that we only use for private
Right.
sessions
Hmm.
because of space,
Yes,
really.
they take up a lot of room. So you
They
have to
take
have a
a
really big
lot of
place to have
room,
a lot of those.
and you'll see them. You'll see all of the equipment here
Yeah.
in a bit.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I know I kind of prompted us just with the overarching topic of the 411 of Pilates background. So I'll kind of let you start taking it away and I'll fill in conversations as we go just to help educate and just dish on what's
Yes.
what's going on with this practice because I feel like there's a lot of like mixed messaging out there these days. So I think getting back to the heart of it is important.
Yeah. It's finally now when we are all of us, including us as
Mhm.
teachers, learning the real like the ropes about the Pilates history. Um, it like Joseph Pilates died in 1960, like 1963. So
Yeah, been a minute.
we didn't have all the like the social media we have today in order to spread the word.
Right, right.
And then before everything, it's in archives in Germany. He traveled on a boat. Like there
Mm-hmm.
was no record of this.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was written by hand. So people have had to really dig into all of
Yeah.
this archive back in England, back in Germany, back in New York, and boom, are
Pull
now
that stuff.
finally putting everything together. So things that I thought I knew are incorrect. And
Okay.
most probably things I'm going to say today within 10 years will be incorrect. Like, I don't know. We'll see.
We're all
But
figuring it out.
yeah, we'll figure it out. Pilates is the last name of Joseph Hubertus, the man who created the method. The name he gave to his system was Contrology.
Mm-hmm.
Control, from control, the art of controlling our body movement with our mind. He never created it as a exercise program, but as a way of life. He really, really wanted everyone to incorporate the method into their life so that the body could function correctly in alignment,
Mm-hmm.
correct posture, so that our daily activities, like things as easy as picking up, I don't know, suitcase from the airplane
Yep.
was easy, or picking up something from the floor, that something that we dropped. I don't know. I drop a pencil and I pick it up. That it wouldn't be a hassle for the lower back.
Right.
Um, he he was born in Germany, in Dusseldorf, well, near Dusseldorf. It's in a town I cannot pronounce, Monglendangle, something like this. In 1883, in
Wow.
December 9th, 1883. He was a very, very sick child. He had rickets, which comes from malnourishment, yes, lack of
Mm-hmm.
proper nutrition
Mm-hmm.
and lack of sunlight. So kind of, I'm gonna say this kind of osteoporosis,
Yeah.
like it's brittle bone,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
due to
Similar
malnourishment.
elements. Mm-hmm.
Yes. He also had scarlet fever.
Mm.
So he had a sequel of an asthma. He suffers from asthma.
Mm-hmm.
But he overcome all of these ailments by exercising. He did boxing, he practiced hatha yoga, he was a skier, an avid skier. He also did a lot of martial arts, bodybuilding, diving, gymnastics. He was
Did it
into
all.
everything. Yes, he
Yeah.
did it all. He did it all. So think of all of those movements are very tridimensional.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, bodybuilding, it's a lot like about moving in flexion extension, which is great. But then gymnastics, you have to start moving in every direction.
Mm-hmm.
He also imitated the movement of the animals, especially the cats. And if you don't have a cat, get a cat,
Get a
people.
cat, guys. What are you
They're
doing?
amazing.
They
Yes,
really
what are you
are.
doing?
Yes,
Yes.
they are.
Um, Dust that means that cats are, I don't know, I've heard so many things, but they're amazing. They're clean,
They
they're
are.
beautiful, they're great
They're
companions.
easy. Yeah. Yeah.
And you see them moving and you want to move like them.
Yes. It's beautiful. It's like art every time they just do anything. You're like,
Yes,
come
they're so
on.
delicate and
Yeah.
strong and soft at the same time. So
Yes.
wow.
Yes.
That's something that Pilates gives to your body. You're
Mm-hmm.
strong, but at the same time you're like feather. You
Floating
walk
and
like
pretty
feather.
and yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It gives elegance to the movement,
Yep.
both men and women. He
Mm-hmm.
actually created this. He was a man, and he created it mostly for men because he moved from Germany to England, and then
Mm-hmm.
World War One started, and because he was German, he had to be in prison.
Yep.
Yes, and it was believed that he created the system for the soldiers, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not the case nowadays. We know that it was created, uh, the Contrology mat on the floor, for himself and for his inmates,
Mm-hmm.
the people that was in prison with him.
Yep.
And then he started helping the injured, the soldiers, and
Mm-hmm.
whoever was in prison with him. And that's when let me see, this, can you see that?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
That's nowadays we call it as a Cadillac. But the first name of that equipment it was the treatment table. And now
Mm.
also we call it trapeze table. Just a
Mm-hmm.
second, I want to. Um, so he created the treatment table or trapeze table by removing the springs and hooks from everywhere and from under the mattresses to help and rehabilitate injured people. And that's the forerunner of the reformer.
Mm.
So if
Mm-hmm.
something if some I don't know why the reformers became so popular. I like no
I
one
don't know.
knows.
Yeah.
It's a great piece of equipment, don't get me wrong, it's magnificent. But
Right.
in terms of space, this should have been the thing that we should be always
Yep.
the chair, the
Yep.
Pilates chair. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was an inventor. Well, let me go back to Germany. Sorry.
Yeah.
So after World War One, he went back to Germany, from England to Germany, and he was invited by the National Army, to German National Army,
Hmm.
to train them. And he
Mm.
didn't like he was smart, and he didn't like path,
Politics.
the politics, yeah, and or It is also believed that he was invited to the States by Max Schlepping, who was a renowned boxing manager.
And boxing was something Joseph did, so he was
Yes.
into that.
Yes, he trained boxers and he was
Hmm.
an avid boxer, but he never won anything as a boxer.
Hmm.
So he moved to in any case, like we don't know which two, maybe two. Like I don't like this, what's going on, and I have this invitation, I'm gonna go. And he left Germany. Apparently he left a wife and a daughter in Germany. And en route met Clara. Clara became his wife, and with her he opened or his woman, he opened a studio in 8th Street in New York.
Hmm.
And rumor has it that Joseph was the creator, but that he had very, very little patience.
Ah.
And that the real teacher, the one who would show you the method, that the one who would with love show you how
Hmm.
to move correctly for your own body was Clara. And it made sense because apparently she was a school teacher. So every
There
time
you
I have
go.
someone, yes,
It's a
every
good
time I
teacher.
have someone, yeah, she was a teacher. Someone in the teacher training that say, "No, I'm a school teacher." Oh my God, you're gonna be the
Yeah.
best teacher.
Yeah.
Uh, and then um, the reason why it's so popular in the feminine world, it's because the ballet dancers started taking classes with Joseph, not only to rehabilitate from injuries, but to improve technique.
Mm.
And Martha Graham and Balanchine, which are, I'm not in the ballet world and you don't need to be in the ballet, but ballet people know these
Know
names.
them.
They're
Hmm.
they're they're choreographers and great ballet dancers of the time. They started spreading the word along with the elders, teachers, people that
Learned
were
from him.
allowed, learned from Joseph and were allowed to spread the word. And then
Hmm.
poof, 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 that's how
Here
Pilates
we are.
started becoming popular. And that's classical or archive Pilates.
Okay.
I teach contemporary Pilates or classical with that contemporary approach, although every day I lean more
Towards the classical.
towards the classical. Nothing wrong about the contemporary. It's wonderful. It was modified. I really don't know by whom, but I think it was doctors, physical therapists that took the classical method and made it more approachable for people. Let's say someone who couldn't go all the way down to the floor, they started bringing the machines up, like putting legs
Yeah.
to the machine. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
instance, the chair, the Wunda chair, which is the Pilates chair that Joseph created. Wunda means miracle in German, so it's Wunda chair. Was modified by Dr. Brent Anderson, a brilliant,
Hmm.
not only physical therapist, but also Pilates teacher and creator and owner, founder of Pulsar Pilates, which
Hmm.
is all over the world. He modified the Wunda chair and created the combo chair, the balanced body creates. He split the pedals so that you could do,
Ah.
he
Have
added
more.
handle. Uh-huh.
Hmm.
He
Hmm.
added handles so people with balance issues could hold on to. I think that's smart. And there is like a war between the classical and contemporary. And I get it and I don't get it. I get it because classical, well, it's classical. He created the system. Why are you changing if it's not broken? Broken.
Yep.
Um, but I also think that Joseph, being the creator he was, would have evolved. If he were alive, he would be evolving his own system, even though it works. It
Right.
works perfectly.
Right. But the more you
Um,
know, the more technology you have, the more you have access, why not grow with it? And it sounds like he was a man who valued growth and information. He wasn't like just so, I mean, we don't know him, but it seems like he evolved and grew. So I would imagine that
yeah,
perhaps, yes, he would
yes, yes,
be
yes, yes.
open to that.
He wrote two books that I know. This one, Return to Life through Contrology. Ah, you have yours. Here you have the explanation on how to breathe, how to position yourself, and all 34 moves of
Hmm.
mat Pilates that are supposed to be taught like this. And
Let me pull it through.
um, there's science behind the madness.
Yeah.
Like you would start with the hundreds to warm up the whole body. Then you go for the roll up and then the roll over. So you first roll up like the upper body, and
Mm-hmm.
then you roll over, so the lower body, the lower part of
Mm.
the spine, and
Mm-hmm.
then the hips. And then
Mm-hmm.
once the hips and the spine are warm up, you go for the rolling like a ball. There's
Yeah, that
there's
makes sense.
it's a smart sequence. It's not that like not randomly put there.
Right. Just like chose
Um,
out a hat and threw it in, threw it in
no,
the
no,
order.
no, no,
Yeah.
no, exactly. It wasn't like, let me see what comes
Yeah.
out first.
Yeah.
If you're interested in Pilates, this would be a great addition to your library. He talks about, let's say you wake up in the middle of the night at 4 a.m. Instead of staying awake or, I don't know, rumbling in your thoughts, go ahead and do your 34 Pilates moves. And maybe you'll fall asleep, or maybe you'll get a vest of energy.
Huh.
And in the other book he wrote, Your Health,
Mm-hmm.
I should have had he also wrote a pamphlet. I don't have it here. Sorry. This pamphlet was supposedly he brought this to Congress because he really wanted Contrology to be in the health system and in the educational system,
Mm-hmm.
but nothing happened.
Of course.
So he wrote, of course. So he wrote this Contrology in order, like, and you see his words, in order for the whole world to learn his
Mm-hmm.
system. And he was very frustrated. Like you can read in
And hear it
his
in there.
you
Yeah.
read it, how frustrated he was. He says things about how daily newspaper broadcasts to the world uh, border closely on criminal misinformation about health. Like
Mm.
this was written in 1934.
Yeah. So progressive.
So
Like conversations we're
they,
still having, unfortunately,
yes,
but like
yeah, that's why I'm
so
like,
forward thinking to be so
what?
vocal about it back then, but
Uh-huh.
it's the same problems that we're
The
dealing with
same
now,
problem.
just in 2025. So yeah.
Um, he also was a creator of furniture. I don't know if you can see here.
Uh-huh.
That's why it wasn't just a Pilates is not just
Like
a
an exercise,
exercise
the
method, it's
whole
a
thing.
way of life.
Hmm.
There's a bed like you were that it's like this instead of like this, for you to be able to put one leg here, the trunk here, and that would make us sleep better. The
Mm,
chairs today are super width from the back of your knees to the back,
right,
and you end up like lying on the bed, and you're supposed to be seated.
right.
So it's like tall head, backrest
So
and
it supports the
small,
whole,
yeah,
yeah,
so that supports the whole head, but the width of the chair
is
smaller
the actual size of our butt to our
of
knees
our
or
butt
whatever.
to
So
our
we're not
knees.
like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So that you are in
Hmm.
90 degrees. Things like you he designed his slippers he used to wear all over New York were weighted. So that
Interesting.
you walk with weighted shoes and you're always exercising. The
Huh.
man was a genius.
Yeah. No,
And
he was,
and his brother too. His brother was an engineer. He never gets credit. This is something that is coming out recently on social media. A very classical
account.
account
Hmm.
posted about his brother that never gets credit for anything he did, and he was the designer because he was the
Wow.
engineer.
Yeah, he's the guy that was
Oh,
behind it all. I
exactly,
mean, like making
exactly.
it actually a reality. We all can
Making
have
that, yeah,
ideas, but it doesn't mean I can make that a thing that works. So
exactly. Yes, yes,
that's
yes, yes. And they
awesome.
patented all of this equipment. It was great.
Wow. Wow.
I love his too. So every
Yeah.
time there's a new book or something, oof,
You're reading it.
yes, eating it.
You're like inhaling it, living in it.
Yes, yes, yes.
What do you think is for your own personal experience of having practiced personally and now being taught both just students and teachers, what keeps you coming back and what has been your biggest benefits or passion for sort of the Pilates
The
lifestyle?
change. The
Mm,
change I see in others.
mm,
Like first I felt it in me.
mm-hmm,
It started as a physical thing, but then
mm-hmm.
it went into a like that connection, being aware of where my pinky toe is and what it's doing without having to look at it.
Yeah.
Um, the connection with my own body, and then the change I see in my students and clients. That it's
Mm.
always a positive change, and
Mm-hmm.
it's always like, yeah, positive change. It creates happiness. It gives happiness to people,
Yeah.
and it's not a hippie what you thing. It's if the body is moving
Science.
correctly,
Yeah.
it's science exactly. The
Yeah.
the body is moving. Uh, just by moving, you create more serotonin and all of this, the beautiful hormones. Yes, but
Yep.
when you're moving smartly and it makes sense, and you know why you're doing it, you you cook with it,
Yes.
you
Yes.
drive with it, you
Yes.
make love with it, like
Yep.
everything. So the change is what
Yeah.
keeps, and that you can, I can teach this, we can teach this until we are 100 years old.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Maybe we won't be able to demonstrate some of
All of
the
the things.
movement, all of
Yeah.
them, but we can, and you can evolve as a teacher. It, when people say, "No, I got bored with my Pilates and I started doing cycling," what?
Right. Right.
How?
Right. Or
Uh,
then it's like, were you really then doing Pilates? Right.
yes,
Because
exactly.
the guest that will be on next week that I recorded hers the other day, she also has taught for many years. She was trained by Ramona in New
Oh,
York.
wow.
And like, so she was a ballet dancer. Very interesting story. But we were talking about how the minute you're sort of bored or think you've mastered something or are
Uh-huh.
like out of that space, like you're doing something, but it's not necessarily Pilates anymore, right? Because
Exactly.
the essence of it is like our bodies are always showing up differently every day. And there's always like little things going on, and we're always relearning and re-engaging and doing the move in a new way because it's a new body every day on some level, right? And that's why it's just it's so beautiful because I get bored of stuff. I like change, and yet this I keep coming back because it is always different on some
But you
level.
said it, we have a new body every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
See? So
Yeah.
that's what keeps me fresh with this.
Yeah. No, and I love talking about it. I get excited about it, but it's all the incredible folks who've taught me or who also are very involved in the practice. Like you can't help but like smile and have so much joy thinking about it, right? And as a therapist and as a coach who really appreciates mind and like change and growth and all of that, I think it's been that missing piece of that the mind body connection we always talk about, but it's such a tangible way to enter into it and to watch it play out for yourself and for
Hmm.
others. Because sometimes these things can feel very heady or like what does that mean or how does that look, and where I think this is such a nice entry point no matter what your background is or where you're coming from. It's a very approachable place to start to
Yeah,
really understand what that starts to mean for each
yeah,
of
that
us.
connection, mind body. Yes, yes, yes,
Mhm.
yes, yes, complete.
I love
Yes.
it. Love it. What would you say would be some helpful, maybe questions to ask or things to look for folks who are trying to perhaps explore their own practice but don't have the luxury of living in Miami where they can come visit you? Because, like we said, there's so much noise right now on it's very popular right now, which is
Yes.
great. But like all things popular, there's the downfall too because you get some of the bad in there as well, or the not as helpful, or
Hmm.
like the posers. So, what might be like some helpful questions or tools or strategies folks can use to make sure they're really getting exposed to Pilates, if that's what they're really looking for.
Yes. If well, first do research. Like, please don't just drive and it says Pilates. No,
Right.
everybody, everything. Pilates became let's say an open word. There was a law a lawsuit about this. Sean Gallagher wanted Pilates to be his word, let's say, because he owned Joseph Pilates equipment, real equipment, and his summer house in it's in Jacobson, Massachusetts.
Mhm.
But he didn't win, thank God. He keeps trying and trying, but whatever. That's his thing.
That's the thing.
Um, he's a good teacher. He's a very good teacher. He's a physical therapist, but he wants to keep Pilates for himself. And
Mm,
it's already too late. Pilates is for the
it's out there.
universe, not even for the world. It's for
No,
the
yeah.
universe. And we are Pilates teachers of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So, but because of that, because he lost that word, that lawsuit, sorry. Now Pilates can be used. Let's say I teach cycling and I add hundreds. I can say that my class is Pilates on a bicycle, and that's a problem
Yeah.
because there are studios in where, please don't get me wrong, you get a great
Yes.
workout on mega formers, for instance, but that's not Pilates.
Yeah.
On a mega farmer, you do lots of lunges and planks, and we need planks, lunges, and squats. So if they're functional moves that we need in life that are incorporated in the Pilates world, but in a real Pilates class. So if you want to know if you did a Pilates class, let's say you didn't do research and you got into a Pilates room with all of these machines around you, and you started on a reformer. Footwork. You need to strengthen, align, and work your feet. If in the class there's no footwork, you didn't do Pilates.
Yep.
Fitting straps, if you're on a reformer. If you didn't do fitting straps, you didn't move your hips and
Mm-hmm.
maybe a short spine, a rollover assisted by the equipment, you didn't do Pilates.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't side bend your spine, rotated your spine, extended your spine, flex your spine,
Mm-hmm.
you did not do Pilates.
Mm-hmm.
Pilates is all about the spine, the moving the entire body. Literally, your toes are grasped
Yes.
like this. This is a foot bar, and your
They're
toes
holding
are
on.
doing this. And while you're
Mm-hmm.
pushing the foot bar away, your toes and your metatarsals are moving. The skin and everything that is under the skin of those
Yep.
parts of your body are moving. And your neck moves, your neck moves, and your neck moves. So it's the whole entire body.
Yep.
If you want to do Pilates at home, you can. There are plenty of great teachers that are offering free classes also on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube. But good, I well, places to look online. It's Pilates Anytime.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
Yep.
Ah,
No rules.
Pilates Anytime is it's a
Yeah.
legit place.
Yes.
There's also
Mm-hmm.
pilatology.com. That's a great one. Also classical. In Pilates Anytime, you have both
Mm-hmm. A
classical
little
and
contemporary.
contemporary and rehabilitation. Like you have
Mm-hmm.
it, you have everything. Um, I think Pilates Anytime is the one that is more accurate about everything. What I've said,
Right.
history and everything that we talk about, they are always on top of it. They've modified things that they were told, and it's incorrect and was
Ah, okay.
incorrect.
So
So
they're kind of
they're
constantly on top of it to keep up with
they're
everything.
updated all the time.
Love that.
Um, what else? Ask the teachers, where are you trained, not certified, because you're not certified unless you take an exam by the Pilates Method Alliance, or formerly known as the Pilates Method Alliance. Today it's the NCPT, the National Certification Pilates for Teachers. And really, what that does is that when you take that and you keep that certification, you are assuring your clients and your students that you're in constant education.
Mm-hmm. Like
Yes,
keeping up with other kind of
keep it
licenses. You're
exactly,
continuing
because you
ed.
have to keep credits every year. You have to send
Yep.
them proof that you did this course, of course. But I know teachers that never took the certification that are better, as good or better than teachers that have
That have.
the
Yeah.
certification.
Yeah.
Actually, most of the classical Pilates teacher will never get the certification because they don't support the National Certification Pilates
Interesting.
training program. They have it's a
The
war there,
politics. Always
politics of the
politics and
Pilates.
everything.
Ugh, yeah. Um, so ask, where were you trained? Who trained you? And
Mm-hmm.
do research.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what else I would say? The language also is important. If you're in a class and they're telling no, don't, stop, no, I would. immediately stand and say, you're not for me. You
Right.
want a teacher that is inviting you to move and
Right.
to enjoy
Right.
the experience.
Right. And also a teacher who's actually helping you with form and paying attention to that. Because I do find too in those like mega former classes that call them like to use Pilates in their name, it's just like no corrections. There's no conversation about what your body should be doing. I know what I'm doing, and I felt like I was going to get hurt in one of those classes once because
Um,
it's just so like, and if you have no idea, then it's ripe for injury. That's my fear.
Last
So
week, my niece invited me to one of these places. There was no light.
it's just dark.
Like it's a dark
You're like,
room with a little blue light on top. Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm turning 43. I'm like, how? And then I'm like, I couldn't see what these people like were. And the teacher is wearing it was 12 of
Oh,
us. That's
yeah.
another
That's
thing. The amount
people.
of equipment. If
Hmm.
it's, we have eight, and I think eight is already a little bit too much. Six is the top. Is the
Hmm.
top. We had to add the extra two because it's Miami business wise, blah, blah, we had to.
Yeah.
But really, and in group classes, no more than six. Boutique, you want boutique because you
Yes.
need that attention. You need the teacher
Yes.
to be able to correct you, to touch, to, hey, your rib cage is flaring,
Right.
bring it up. You're sticking your pelvis out, bring it in. Your right foot is like this, feel this.
Right.
And
Right.
if there's 10 people, 12 people, 15 people, there's no possible, that's another class. Like you're
Yes.
just moving the
Yes.
same.
Yes. Which again, nothing wrong with all different types of movement practices. It's just
Uh-huh.
like, let's call it what it is. And I think the beautiful part about doing actual Pilates is you can take that into all those things. If you like
Mhm.
cycling too, you'll be a better cycler if you have a Pilates background. If you want to, even
Yes.
walking on the tread, hiking, like I'm so much more aware of how I'm protecting my lower back, especially when you like get fatigued. Like I'm just so much more aware because of the Pilates I do, but I do other things as well. I know you're a runner, like the way you run is
Uh-huh.
informed by that because those are all things people can get very injured weightlifting. Like
Weightlifting,
it's
yes.
so many injuries because people just they don't know. You're thinking of it in segments instead of that whole approach. So, yeah.
Yes.
Amazing. Well, we could probably talk forever, but really quick, I've been finishing this month with 4 quick questions. They're just kind of silly and fun. So, first thing that comes to mind, um, morning or evening exercise?
Morning, 100%.
What is your favorite Pilates move?
Yeah, the side bending
Okay. Coffee or tea?
teeth.
And what is a word or phrase that you are embodying for 2025?
Acceptance.
Mm, I like that one. Awesome.
Nothing is in my hands, out of control, acceptance.
I
Everything that
love it.
comes, comes.
It's a very poignant word for this year, I think, especially
Hmm.
even after our first 2 months. Uh,
Yeah.
well, thank you so much. I'll make sure to have links for Pilathon in the YouTube notes. If folks are in Miami or live there or visiting, definitely go check out a class. Is there anything else you want to let us know about that you're doing or offering or share?
More than what I'm doing, guys, do Pilates.
Yes.
Join a Pilates class. It changes life. You cannot just go once and say, I don't like it, it's boring. Give it a go 1 month.
Yeah.
And then after the month, you'll see.
Yes.
But don't waste time. Don't waste any more time. Go today and woof, look for that Pilates studio and join. Create your community also. That's beautiful. That happens a lot in
Yes.
yoga studios too.
Yeah.
But go and start your Pilates. It will change your life in ways that you cannot imagine. The way you breathe, the way you walk, the way you feel, the way you sleep, everything
Mm-hmm.
changes.
100%. And we can both attest to that. We're not just selling it, we're living it. Thank you guys so much
Definitely.
for being here. We'll see you all
Thank
next
you, Alicia.
week.
Love
Thank
you. That
you.
was